Hi all and welcome to the Truth, Honour and Integrity show. Tonight is March the 30th. Hi all, welcome to the Truth, Honour and Integrity show again for another week. Tonight is March the 30th. A couple of things before we get into the usual news and the intel. Dr Naidu will be on at 9 o'clock this evening, so we'll look forward to that. First things first, we'd like to wish Clifford Stone some healing. He had informed today that he had an operation today, and so we hope he gets well soon. Now, this coming Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. UK time, and 8 p.m. Holland time. I know we have a lot of Dutch listeners. I will be on the Open Your Mind radio show again. The whole show this time. Last time was I was filling in a few for the other guests, but this time it will be the whole show. So look forward to that on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A week on Sunday there will be another show that will be highlighting the Illuminati. It will be powerful and somewhat disturbing account of how they operate. So look forward to that. I will post that later on next week, probably after next Thursday's show, once the archive's gone out. So what's been going on this week? Fun and games. Lots of fun and games. There's a fair bit of intel, not as much as the previous weeks, but we'll get to that later. But we've had the usual in the UK. Of course, last week's news was about the London incident, the alleged terrorist attack, and it's a case of problem, reaction, solution. The UK Home Secretary Amber Rudd has demanded that intelligence agencies be given access to the WhatsApp messages, warning it is completely unacceptable to let terrorists benefit from end-to-end encryptions. She went on, "It is my view it is completely unacceptable and there should be no place for terrorists to hide." That's ironic coming from government, but there you go. We need to make sure organisations like WhatsApp, and there are plenty of others like that, don't provide a secret place for terrorists to communicate with each other. A statement comes on the heels of the deadly attack in London last week when Khalid Masood, who is said to be a Muslim convert inspired by terrorist propaganda, rammed a rented car into dozens of pedestrians before stabbing a police officer to death at the gates of the British Parliament. The Home Secretary has also argued that Britain's intelligence services must have the ability to get into situations like encrypted WhatsApp. Well, she also insisted that social media platforms should begin taking more responsibility for removing extremism-related content, as she had a fairly long list of tech companies for a meeting on to discuss the issue this week. So there's the problem, reaction, solution all in one go. This is like 9/11 here, where they can bring out the Patriot Act. You know, it's all right them encrypting everybody and them spying on everybody, but the minute ordinary people use something for their own protection, they don't like it. Well, we don't like being spied on either. It's as simple as that. You know, it's not a one-way street. Appears to be, but it's not. So, right, okay. I hope that the sound is okay, because we're on the studio version tonight. I've asked for a sound check. Well, obviously someone's busy, so right, we'll go on with the next portion. Where are we? The International Criminal Court has, for the first time ever, ordered a war criminal to pay reparations to victims of his atrocities. Jermaine Katanga, an ex-militia leader in the Democratic Republic of Congo. For those of you who don't remember, there was a big incident with ETs in the Congo in '96. A very big issue, a portal opened there. Maybe this was related, who knows? Maybe Mr. Katanga is not real or not human. Anyway, the ICC said he should pay $1 million to villagers targeted in 2003, a judge ruled. But as he is insolvent, the ICC Trust Fund for Victims should consider making the payment. Katanga followed proceedings via a video link from jail in the Republic of Congo, and the ICC sentenced him to 12 years in 2014 for aiding and abetting war crimes, and it was he who was behind the 2003 massacre of hundreds of villages in the Congo. So sound, some saying the sound is low. Right, okay, let me quick sound check. It's always the problem when we have a guest on and the studio settings, now it's on as high as possible. Right, okay. I may have to pick the mic up again. Right. Where are we next? Washington DC. The Metro Police Department Twitter feed suggests an epidemic of missing children in Washington DC. No surprise there. Perhaps they're all in the pizza shop. Just cover that up. Anyway, the Metro Police Department has always shared some missing persons on social media, but early this year the new police commander decided to use Twitter for every critical case. He went on to say, if more people in the public are aware, then that's more eyes on the road for us, a spokesman said for the Department of Metro Police. Since then, the faces behind nearly 200 people, many of them children, many of them female, who go missing each month, have loomed large on social media. Many see the missing person tweets but often miss the follow-up tweets once someone has been found, said Gertz. The result is a sense that girls in DC are going missing at an alarming rate and no one is paying attention. 200 children, mainly female, per month in DC. No change there then, is there? Where are we next? Donald Trump has promised to create thousands of jobs for Americans as a result of his official approval for the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline, to be exact. That's 42,000 direct and indirect jobs over a 2-year period, with 16,100 of them directly related to the project and 3,900 construction jobs, according to the State Department. But it seems the majority of these jobs would be short-term in nature, the department said. In fact, when the construction on the pipeline is complete, there will only be 50 jobs available related to the pipeline, 35 permanent ones and 15 for temporary contractors, the State Department said. Is it worth all that effort? One has to wonder. Not a good move by Mr. Trump. The next financial crisis that rocks America won't be driven by bankers behaving badly, according to this report. In fact, it will be driven by pension funds that cannot pay out what they promised to retirees. According to one pension advocacy organisation, nearly 1 million working and retired Americans that are covered by pension plans are at risk of collapse. The looming pension crisis is not limited by geography or economic focus. These include former public employees, such as members of the South Carolina government pension plan, which covers roughly 550,000 people, and 1 out of 9 state residents. And South Carolina pension plan is a staggering 24.1 billion in the red. B, not me, millions, billions. 24.1 billion in the red. Yet again, an example of them thieving out of the pension fund, hoping to make dodgy bets that don't come off anymore. And yet still we have insufficient amounts being arrested. These include former blue-collar workers, such as roughly 100,000 coal miners who face serious cuts in pension payments and health coverage, thanks to a nearly $6 billion shortfall in the plan for the United Mine Workers of America. And when the bill becomes due, we will all be in rather big trouble. According to the Bureau of Labour Statistics report from 2015 through 16, the average household income of someone older than age 75 is $34,000, and their average expenses exceed that of $34,300. It's not an exaggeration then to say that even a modest reduction in retirement income makes the typical budget of a 75-year-old unsustainable. Yeah, not that they care, like, but this inflexibility is a hard financial reality for someone who's no longer able to work and is reliant on means other than labour to make ends meet. I don't think those two mentioned South Carolina government plan and the mine workers are the only ones pensions who are short. I remember about 10 years ago there was a report on the British government pensions being 80 billion in the red. I imagine that's got worse. Where are we going next? I was sent this in by one of our listeners from Holland, or the Netherlands as it's now called, and we thank her. She's still being barred from the Facebook page, Ella Starr, as you know her, and she does the transcripts for our show each week, and we thank her for that, and the people who support her. So I will read out what she said. Against all expectations, the ruling political party of the current Prime Minister, Mark Rutte, won the election with a majority of 33 seats. That number again. The Masonic number gives it all away, doesn't it? I suspect the elections were rigged, and also suspect the PVV political party of Geert Wilders was the true winner of the selection. Not that it would make any difference anyway, but the number 33, in my opinion, is a clear message that the secret ruling elite is still in charge in the Netherlands. Absolutely. They are the hidden hand in the control system in many ways. Those of you who've done your research on the House of Orange and the Dutch East Indies and the Dutch West Indies Tea Company, they were causing as much damage as Britain. And so you'll know that they play a big role. Of course, the Dutch and the De Boers play heavily in the apartheid and Africa of the past. So that's a bit of a history lesson on Holland, and it's no reflection of the people. You know, I have to put up with being born in Britain and the clowns we have there. It's no better here. So, as far as she knew, the use of voting machines has been banned everywhere many years ago as a protest group that consisted of hackers proved back then that it could be rigged. So voting took place using the old school red pencil format. However, there were reports of voting venues that did not have enough voting forms in stock. Some people were not able to vote and extra forms were printed on the election day. The turnout was significantly higher than expected. In other words, they've just thrown a load of votes in. And this is in contrast to the appeal of the alternative media not to vote. The high turnout is an indication that people are fed up and want change. It does not make any sense that the current ruling party would turn out to be the winner. There are reports on the social media that stacks of voting forms in favour of the PVV were found in garbage containers, or claims that boxes with empty forms were not allowed to be opened, not even to check whether they were actually unused voting forms or not. Others that were supposed to witness the counting claim to have been worked out of the door by big men, and rigged elections was never really a topic in our country. Some groups now demand a revote, and ironically there is a petition for a revote using digital methods again. So we thank Ella for giving us an update on all things in Holland. It doesn't appear to be any different to what takes place here or the UK. And it just gets ridiculous that we can't have a simple election without someone interfering with it. So the other thing that took place this week is Mr. Trump's healthcare plan that never got off the ground, which has caused much glee from Democrats. You know, this type of behaviour, that one party's plan is better than the other, is why, if I was given the choice, I would ban it. All it does is, yet again, it creates more divide and conquer. Yet again, they all sit there guffawing over themselves. Our plan's better than your plan, and our party's better than your party. Meanwhile, we the people are the ones who lose out. And I suspect this health plan is a distraction for Pedogate and the RICO lawsuits that are in motion. Some evidence of swamp cleaning this week. President Donald Trump signed an executive order this week to bring Connecticut Governor Daniel Malloy into a federal courtroom. President Trump stated that the lack of cooperation with ICE agents and his federal immigration orders of enforcing the deportation of illegal immigrants had reached a boiling point. Trump stated the direct acts of Governor Malloy is in contempt of federal law and is illegal, and I will see to it he is brought up on these charges, and we will decide if impeachment may be a reasonable manner of dealing with this. Trump also cited the city of Hartford and many other sanctuary cities within Connecticut as being in direct violation of federal law and instigating tension between local and federal law enforcement. Mr. Malloy is due in Washington, D.C. Federal Superior Court early next week. This is all very well, but it's not the priority of swamp cleaning, is it? That we all were perhaps expecting or wanting. Bit low level. Here's something they won't hear on CNN or any the others. The media channels. Jewish protesters blocked the entrance to the annual pro-Israel American Israel Public Affairs Committee, known as AIPAC. There was a conference at Washington Convention Center this week calling for an end to the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territory. The three-day conference began on Sunday in what AIPAC described as the largest and most important advocacy day for the pro-Israel community. Up to 15,000 people were expected to attend the event, according to organisers, and its speakers on Sunday included former Prime Minister Tony Blair and Rwanda President Paul Kagame. A protest organised by If Not Now, a Jewish movement lobbying to end the American Jewish community's support for the occupation, took place outside the centre. Protesters formed a human blockade, preventing any access to both entrances of the convention centre after marching from Franklin Square. US Vice President Mike Pence, former Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper are also due to address the conference later in the evening. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also confirmed he was to speak at the event. Democratic leaders Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, as well as Republicans Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan, will also address AIPAC later in the week. Those names that are going are very indicative, is it not? But kudos to the Jewish people who want peace and have had enough of those clowns continuing to divide and conquer. State-owned German development bank KfW. This is kind of worrying, this particular news item. Transferred billions of euros to 4 other banks due to an alleged configuration mistake made by an experienced programmer, according to media reports. The incident took place in February when KfW erroneously transferred around 5 billion euros, which is $5.4 billion, to 4 other financial institutions. The bank mistakenly transferred the hefty sum due to human error owing to a configuration mistake. Yeah, right. But the amount mistakenly allocated funds might even be as high as 6 billion euros. That's about $6.75 billion. The bank was reportedly notified of its mistake by the German central bank and then promptly demanded the transfer funds back. KfW said such mishaps could occur during works on the systems, and KfW has immediately started comprehensive internal and external audits in order to clarify the causes of the incident in detail and to draw the corresponding conclusions, the bank said. And here's the disturbing part. This incident is reminiscent of an occurrence in 2008 when KfW, same said bank, mistakenly paid 300 million euros to US-based Lehman Brothers. Unbelievable. And we know what happened after that, don't we? There's another example of American money, our money, being wasted or grossly misused. The American University of Beirut, a recipient of US government aid, has agreed to pay $700,000 to settle a civil lawsuit over accusations that it assisted 3 organisations linked to the militant group Hezbollah. As part of its deal with the US Attorney's Office in Manhattan, a party to the lawsuit, the university also agreed to revise its policies. The agreement resolved a case originally filed under seal by an unnamed complainant. Go figure. The American University of Beirut receives funding from the US Agency for International Development, USAID, acting Manhattan U.S. Attorney June Kim said in a statement, "For years, the American University of Beirut accepted grant money from USAID but failed to take reasonable steps to ensure against providing material support to entities in the Treasury Department's prohibited list." Said the university in the Lebanese capital admitted to training representatives of Al Noor Radio and Al Manar TV, both media groups the US Treasury Department lists as branches of the Iranian-backed Hezbollah. Between 2007 and 2009, the university provided the training and workshops to representatives from Al Noor and Al Manar, who were allowed to participate among a larger group of journalists, a statement from the US Attorney Office said. One workshop was titled Citizen/Online Journalism and provided instructions on how to produce blogs, videos and podcasts. Federal prosecutors said the university used its website to connect students with Jihad al-Bina, another organisation that the US Treasury Department is said to be linked to Hezbollah. No mention about cutting the aid, is there? You noticed? That's because it's deliberate, that's why. Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, all part of fun and games that people in our country are funding and promoting, in my opinion. Where are we? Here's more waste of money, this time the government. Air Force pilots. To keep Air Force pilots from jetting off to more lucrative careers with commercial airlines, the Air Force is considering passing out enlistment bonuses that could go as high as $455,000. Bonuses, $455,000. In a testimony before a House Armed Services Subcommittee on Wednesday, Air Force Personnel Chief Lieutenant General Gina Grasso said that extensions are being considered that would pay pilots the top bonus of $35,000 a year over the life of a 13-year contract. Attracting recruits who want to be pilots isn't a problem, it's keeping them in the cockpit once they are trained. She said at the end of fiscal year 2016, there was a shortage of 1,555 pilots across all sectors of the Air Force, a number that includes 1,211 fighter pilots. The cost for the year-long training of a fifth-generation fighter pilot amounts to $11 million. For one. Beggars belief. Just where did he get those figures? $11 million to train somebody. Meanwhile, there's veterans sitting on the street homeless with no food and no medical attention. But they can waste $11 million to train a pilot. So a 1,200 fighter pilot shortage amounts to a $12 billion capital loss for the United States Air Force. Fifth-generation fighters are the most advanced aircraft now available, such as the F-35, if it works. And Grasso said a surge in mandatory retirements at commercial airlines led the airlines to hire more than 4,000 pilots from them last year at a pay rate of 17% higher than the military's. She expects similar hiring levels to persist for the next 10 to 15 years. Or maybe not. What a waste of money. Where are we next? Mr. Fulford did an article on Monday and he stated this: however, when I actually met Mr. Rockefeller, this is David Rockefeller, who was taken out last week, I had the impression that deep inside this man thought he was doing good for the planet. The question that up-and-coming truth and reconciliation investigators need to answer now is how was his vision for a united planet Earth in harmony with nature got distorted into a nightmarish genocidal plan. I think Ben's been sniffing something or too much. Mr. Rockefeller has never been interested in a united Earth for we the people, ever. So either Benjamin's discernment is way off, or he was smoking too much. Simple as that. Clayman versus Comey has been a big story this week. I don't want to go into it too much, other than to make a statement. And while it's rather good that they're going to review the policy for tapping up Mr. Trump, I would like to see it go a lot further, like a complete cessation on American people, unless in exceptional circumstances, and it would have to be exceptional. The tapping of our phones is far wider than people realise. Far wider. Recently I mentioned about it's likely we're not dealing with human living souls too much on this planet, but more than likely a range of other variants, synthetics, hybrids, reptilians, etc., etc. And here is another example of what I consider non-human behaviour. The body organs of 18,000 Syrian children have been sold in the last 6 years. 18,000 of them. Now this to me is a hostile takeover of the planet, top and bottom. And it's high time the clowns with badges in this country realise that your dinars and your TRN bullshittery will be totally useless unless you act quickly. Unless, of course, they're not human either. One wouldn't be surprised. Anna von Reitz did another rather good post that I'm going to read out, which will probably take us up to a break, and then we'll come back with some intel. And maybe we'll get some questions in before Dr Naidu comes on in the third hour. I've forgotten we were. I told him 9 o'clock, which is with us being starting the show an hour earlier, means he's in the final hour rather than the second hour. Well, never mind. And Anna said this. She'd reviewed a lengthy PSYOPs report in depth, but she states it appears to be based on the assumption that because the names have changed and some international forces and new weapons are present, the America we love and know is being lost and overtaken. In fact, what is being stripped away are the false names and presumptions that were the result of the great fraud and illegal occupation beginning in 1861. The actual country that we living American people are owed is being returned, and the United States of America and the states of America, not the United States, are receiving back all the assets and credit that has been embezzled. Remember that the original Constitution is called the Constitution for the United, lower U, not capital U, States, capital S, of America. The name of this country, as it pertains to the delegated authority in international jurisdiction, was always States of America. The United was an adjective used to describe the States of America. And this whole situation has become overly complex over time, and lawyers have had a field day confusing everyone and making false claims and practicing personages and barratry. They've had a really sweet racketeering operation on our shores, and they've done it in such a clever way that at the end of the day they can even attempt to blame it on us and say that they did it all in our best interests. Yeah, right. She says she was blown past all that, and if it doesn't exist, and going on to the meat of the matter, we want our land, we want our homes, and we want our money, and we want our identities, our copyrights, our trademarks, our patents, all of it returned. We want clean, clear, easy to means to correct our political status, obtain proper passports, and convert all these public trusts back into private bank accounts. We want remedy on the land, full cure and maintenance on the sea, and redemption in the jurisdiction of the air. To do that requires going back to the actual names of things as they were 150 years ago and doing justice to the dead. Think of all the people who lived and died as slaves since 1861, thinking that they were freemen. Deluded, fooled, defrauded, embezzled, conned by these criminals. It's not just a matter of what is due, it's what was due to our great-great-grandparents too. There was a plan to kill the priority creditors of the con artists just as they did in Nazi Germany. We blew that to smithereens in 2014. There was a plan to declare our republics dead, no longer having international representation and no longer having sufficient currency in international circulation. We also blew that sky high in 2015. At every turn, as the con artists have tried to undermine us, they tried to deny our claims, tried to gain the legal edge, they have been defeated. And not just defeated, squashed flat, exposed like roaches. There was an attempt by Queen Elizabeth to claim that she was head of state for the United States of America, which is wrong. The actual head of state stepped forward. There was an attempt by France, that is Jacob Rothschild, to establish a contract by assumption and succession. We said thanks but no thanks. In public, repeatedly. What needs to happen in America and in every other country around the world is a full and honest house cleaning and education of the public so as to enable every man and woman to make decisions. A sort of planetary town hall meeting where each one except those who really truly are disabled and unable to act on their own behalf gets to exercise their free will and have access to their own credit without middlemen. Anyone who's not in a coma, anyone who is, say, 16 or older, anyone who is mentally competent, should be truthfully told about the issues and the choices, and then allowed to choose for themselves. Those who are with me believe that when a man or woman is given all the facts, all the pros and cons, the vast majority will choose what is right and good for themselves and their country, and also for mankind. Take away the lies and fears and tell the truth, and at the end of the day we are grown up enough and rational enough to choose what is good. I have often told the story of being lost in a blizzard in the backcountry of Alaska and seeing a tiny little Quonset hut in the distance. struggling my way to the door and being welcomed by a very elderly Eskimo living a very simple life on the very edge of nowhere. When it comes push to shove, when we become aware of how small we are, when we start discerning the real miracles of life, then all of a sudden the world drops away and what is real and precious becomes painfully apparent. No one has to tell us what is true or what is good. We already know. It's right there in front of us. It's been there all the time. And when we remember who and what we are, it's so easy to be grateful and to choose life and to share, because we finally realize that we are worthy and we are loved and we are blessed and we are immersed in riches beyond compare in great abundance, with more than enough for our own needs and wants and wishes, and more than enough for every man to have his home in peace. The dark night of the doctrine of scarcity and the rule of Satan is finally ending. The 1,000 years of peace has been declared, and those who are guilty are scattering and stumbling, afraid of what this means and what will be done to them. It is the will of our Father that not one will be lost, not a single goat, not a single sheep. All will be redeemed, all will be cared for, all will be taught, all will be cherished. And though their sins are as scarlet, they shall be washed white as wool. Those who are ruining the earth will be stopped, and a new paradise will be born, and it's happening right now. The plans of the enemy are all torn and run amok. The power of money is nothing compared to the power of nature and love. Rejoice, have faith. You may feel angry about what has been revealed. You may be afraid. Other people may be rushing around in panic. Some may try to delude you again. There's 10 pounds of ignorance for every pound of knowledge on the street right now, and what I'm telling you is true, and what all the naysayers and fearmongers are telling you is not. And as we should all know by now, when what is true comes, what is false must pass away. A fantastic piece, I'd say, written by Anna von Reitz, and hopefully some of the promises in that will be forthcoming and soon. Imminent. 2 weeks. There's a lot going on, but there's a lot of fun and games, and some very disturbing fun and games going on, sadly. We'll have that in the second hour. We're going to have some music first, and this should be a reminder to the people who I will be speaking about in the second hour. Hi all, and welcome back to the second hour. We're going to go into some intel now. Wish it was good news. I can't say it is too much, because the clowns have gone into overdrive, and there's some serious stupidity going on currently. And the first one that took place this week of the evidence of stupidity is Mr. Trump signed a bill to allow coal to be used again this week. Only problem is there's no Americans with has any money. None. So we all know what took place next, or we will do. Basically what took place this week was a feeding frenzy of Chinese, Indians and Russians who are buying up all the American coal mines. So that bill basically defeats the purpose altogether. Our banks are broke, period. zip. You'll see why later on. And so are the coal miners due to such a long lag. So much for America first, it seems. Either that or the crass stupidity on behalf of the policymakers who failed to put in any proviso into the bill. Poor oversight or deliberate. Time will tell. Now, on the 12th of April, there was supposed to take place a budget meeting, and it was brought forward so Mr. Rex Tillerson could attend, and it's been brought forward to tomorrow. But Mr. Tillerson has now rejected to attend, saying he was due to be in Russia. One would think our whole financial security was more important, but it appears not. The question remains as to why he's going before and not after that important meeting. Again, time will tell. The clowns, which is why I played the last first song, are pumping up the Russian threat again. And there is a further plan to start World War III, which would basically financially completely destroy the US and also send us back to the Stone Age. These people and entities are completely insane at this point. Now, the central portion of the intel involves NATO. There's more to it than meets the eye with NATO. On Tuesday, a NATO computer was used to try and fire up the black screens. These are the screens behind the financial system, the ones not available to the public, only available to certain elites with codes. So that was fired up from a NATO computer. The reason being is their desperation for funds elevates beyond all sensible reasoning. But the funny part about what happened when they fired up the black screen, it fired up and it sucked the whole existing budget out of NATO, and then the computer sent a message, hard drive corrupt, and went offline. So a bit like what was announced last week when they were messing with hacking into other systems, and a load thousands of Fulcrum files were released. There was a backdoor created into the NATO system that basically emptied their account. I have no doubt that's now safe into the trust account hands, not in theirs. And further message was sent out to all the allied nations of who did what on Tuesday. The problem is, who are we exposing it to? Well, all the other countries all know what's going on with NATO and the clowns. But here, it's the same idiots that hold the dinar and or the TRN bullshittery, and all the way down the food chain. And it appears no one questions their superiors, none. Meanwhile, we the people again suffer. Now, the NATO agreement as it stands only lasts through May of this year. And one would hope that it gets cancelled permanently. It seems that the clowns think that NATO will replace the UN as a sovereign, except that that's not happening. But they try. So, what was the reason for the black screen bullshittery? You're not going to like this. Well, since the Rothschilds sucked everything out of the US government account last November, and subsequently the government had no funds to pay any government employee since, what they've been doing to make the payroll is sucking the capital out of all the banks. Oops. Now there's no funds left in the bank. Seriously, none. It's all gone. And as it stands now, the US government has no clue how they're going to make payroll from April the 1st onwards. None whatsoever. So yet again, this country and its people are facing dire consequences because of a few greedy, psychopathic clowns in our military. They're holding on until the grim death, it seems, to their dinars bullshittery and the hope of getting the Treasury Reserve note of the world, not American Treasury note, no, up and running. Treasury Reserve note of the world. In other words, another fiat scam. Neither will take place. All those people holding on, we're going to get the RV, it's bullshit. You've been told that for the last 4 years. Now, the clowns in the military with their dinars who have been promised all and sundry have been shown and evidence the funding is available for them, the country and its people. Everything and everyone. But the stipulation for receiving those funds is things have to be done in a fairer and more transparent way for the all, not the select few. But as it stands, they're refusing to accept it. They're holding on to their millions of dinars. Now, to me, you can report problems or you can create solutions. And to me, and this is my opinion, the solution is for the government to not do a shutdown and make all government employees suffer like last time. The solution is cut all funding to NATO permanently, and also cut all funding to the USA Inc. military. Shut the whole military down. They are the problem. They always have been the problem. It is they who should have fixed this issue before it even started. It is they who have bombed people and their nations into oblivion. It is they who operate black budgets. They who committed treason and facilitated Operation Paperclip 1, 2 and 3 and flooded our soil with psychopathic Nazi and their Aryan race bullshittery. It is they who have drugged and abused our sons and daughters. They who chose to ignore the veterans. They who have brought utter shame to this nation and its people. Protecting Americans' freedoms, my arse it is. Protecting theirs and the elite's back pockets more like it. And the not so funny irony is, we the people pay for their shit. We're paying their wages. 11 million to train a fighter pilot, whilst they're sending money to so-called rogue nations. But there's never any money for the people, is there? So I would suggest the government should totally suspend their whole budget. Remove the people in the ranks not interested in humanity and start afresh. Remove all foreign bases, pull out all war-active troops on foreign soil. Slash the budget and then give them an amount to clean up the mess only. A reminder to all the generals: you have a moral duty and obligation to help, protect and support the very people who pay your wages. Your duty is to the American people, not corporations, transnational groups, mercenary armies, rogue ETs, but we the people. You know, enough of your bullshittery and do your job. Protect, serve and help the American people is your role. Now, the reality is, most of the elite, the top brass, the controllers, the ETs, the parents, the covens, etc., pick your poison, most of them are now gone. With the cloning centres now out of operation, their numbers will dwindle even quicker now. No more replacing it with bits of plastic. Yes, you android. And yet the problem we still face here in America is people in top positions continuing their idiocy. Why? They're carrying on like the former control system all still exists. It's gone. Basically what they're doing is classic Stockholm syndrome. And why anyone with any modicum of common sense would think it's time those stuck in the old paradigm were removed from duty. They're stuck in the old paradigm. We want the new one. And these people should be removed from duty for their senility. Because it's quite clear now. David Rockefeller was taken out, despite what others say. He was taken out by the good guys, and more of them will follow fairly quickly. Their time is up. Now, the Trump and the immigration issue has caused a lot of angst on both sides. And in general, this immigration issue is not for the ordinary people. I mentioned it earlier about why they're talking about building walls, etc. Well, Mr. Trump's been made fully aware now, and why he's instigating the immigration issue is to stop fake terrorists, aka paid mercenary groups known as ISIS and all kinds of other names, and we all know who's funding them. Now, what's been made clear this week is the clowns have adopted a new strategy using mercenaries claiming they are Native American tribes to attack Americans. That's the latest plan in another possible attempt to start civil war here. Well, they tried the black v white and that failed. Next came the male versus female, and although that is still running to a degree, it's largely failed also. So now they're turning the First Nation against the rest of us. There's no end to their stupidity, because that plan will fail also. So Darth Vader reared his ugly head again this week, chiming in on the Russian issue with his slanted, agenda-driven, distorted views. Dickhead Cheney popped up out of nowhere this week. Now, tomorrow there is a NATO meeting, and the reason for it is designed to force countries to pay the Rothschilds so they can pay for their World War III. And the opening gambit is to attack Russia. This is taking place at NATO tomorrow. All the NATO top brass are in on it, having been promised kickbacks. A bit like some of the people with stars on their shoulders here. Promised all kinds of crap. King of the world, head of state. No end to it. Then they find out the next person was promised that, and the next person, and the next person, on and on it goes. Now, one of the plans they're trying to instigate is to make NATO autonomous. Basically a Rothschild private army. Finally, some in America are seeing them for who they are. Liars and thieves who think they're ET gods, satanic incarnates, or think somehow that they are immortal and rulers of the earth. Mr. Rockefeller will attest, if he was around, that that's not the case. You utter idiots. It just beggars belief as to how far these clowns think they can carry on making plan after plan after plan after plan that fail and just carry on. Kind of also beggars belief that the people who have the clout to end their stupidity are also sitting on their arses, pushing pens and tapping on computers, counting their dinars. That has to stop. It really has to stop. Right, where are we next? That's the intel for this week. It's not as pleasant as some of the other stories we've had, but it is what it is. But I think the NATO thing will get fixed. The biggest problem we have here is the financial situation. We're in desperate straits. There's no question now. The banks have nothing left. Zero. The government has nothing left. There is a solution put forward by the foundation people and others. Everyone can have plenty. But it seems we have others who want to have the all. Unbelievable. It really is. Right, we'll go into some questions and then we'll bring Dr. Naidu on at the top of the hour. I never realised how many questions we hadn't got to in the past. There's quite a few, so hopefully I can whiz through quite a few of them and see where we get to. Could someone be immune to the effects of hallucinogenic compounds, and is there a reason to this? I would say nobody is. It's also very dangerous, despite what people tell you, or certain ones want you to believe. you want to open yourself up to vampiric entities. That's your choice at the end of the day. But you have been warned. There is no immune to the effects. Now, like alcoholics, they kind of become immune where they're used to just topping up. But don't think that doesn't affect. Just because it's not affecting external doesn't mean it's not affecting internal. Is there any truthful information regarding our republic on the internet that we could steer friends and family to? I think it would be a good way to bring Democrats and Republicans together. Maybe one of the members can post something on that on the page. There's probably a whole heap of documentation on that, but you'd have to go back before 1861, certainly before 1871 anyway. As for bringing Republicans and Democrats together, I wouldn't bother. It's a failed entity. We don't need party politics. We just need people in position to do the job they're paid to do. No divide and conquer, no wasting billions on fancy conferences. Our party's better than yours. It's all an illusion. You know, the idea that they're actually different is part of the illusion. If you are still holding on to the fact that you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, you're part of the problem, not part of the solution. The solution is no parties. None of them have done any good. Is there a grey pope, and does he control the Rothschilds? Yes, there is a grey pope. Whether he controls the Rothschilds is debatable. He doesn't even control the Vatican. The Black Pope does that. The black nobility. Where are we next? Does good and the evil run in cycles, and why is it always one-sided? Why can't we coexist on the same playing field? Well, good question. This is what the bigger picture of what is being accomplished here is all about. Restoring the balance, not only to this planet, but not even this galaxy, solar system. It's universal. The dark has ran amok in this universe. At one point it was 86% dark. That's now declining and has declined over many thousands of years. And we're getting closer to the balance, which is the way it should be. You can't have one without the other. So the idea of wiping everything out, all that'll happen is the ones who are good will start being evil. But there has to be a balance. And everyone has the potential to be Mother Earth or Satan. We all have it in us. It's a matter of your own choice, what you choose to do in this lifetime. Does the Council openly accept the truth that the light is at a distinct disadvantage by honouring the cosmic rules of play, and that the dark exposes at will, as you described previously? They have a directive and they stick to it. Do I personally agree with it? No. Like I said in the show last Sunday, Jesus didn't come talking love and light. He said, I come with the sword. We have to fight. And this, quite frankly, stupidly one-sided game where they can completely ignore the rules and we have to abide by them. It's a shit show. Just is. It doesn't make sense. They could have stepped in and saved Radomir, but chose not to. They could have stepped in and saved Isadora and Anna in the 1500s and chose not to. When the odds are as stacked as they are and have been here, then all options should be available until it's fixed. They should remove the rogue elements, all of them. Then we have a chance to correct it ourselves. Can you elaborate a bit about world splitting? I've already covered this 3 times, but basically you're seeing a polarization of the people. What is real and what is not. And it's becoming, since I first mentioned it, it's become more and more obvious to people. We don't operate in their world anymore. We just don't. It's an illusion to think that we do. They think we're completely nuts, and we think they're completely nuts. It's 2 separate worlds, right in front of each other. Like 2 parallel universes. And we've mentioned this before, about the Nazis trying to merge their parallel universe timeline with us by 2023. Me personally think it will fail. I think it already has failed. But those clowns don't give up, do they? I was watching a series of Fringe. I think it's season 4, and something came to me. This is really what's playing out now. One particular series where the universe was split, and they're going from one universe to another. It's kind of disconcerting when you see yourself in the dream time. So it's quite close, but it's not our world, and this is not theirs either. And it's going to be sad, because some of those people who are splitting off are loved ones and family, but they've made their own choice. We can't help them anymore, as much as I would love to. We just can't. There's enough people in the awake community struggling with the truth dump. They're not going to make it. I'd love to tell you that it's all going to be hunky-dory and we'll all survive and we all live happily ever after. But reality's right in front of us. You know, I'd like to see a public event, and I mean a real public event, where 1 or 2 dozen are removed in shackles that might shake some out of their slumber. But we still won't get that many. We just won't. Too many are happy in their slavery suits. They fight for it. You've seen the clowns fighting to have Hillary put in the White House. Of all people. You show them evidence. Pedogate. It's broken. It's been on the idiot box. Is it all over the internet? No. Doesn't matter to these people. They just brush it off. And that's why we're called the sin eaters. Because we have to absorb that because they won't. I hope that helps. If Trump is successful in cleaning the swamp in DC, will the corrupt electric companies and the corrupt people in the public utility commissions that are forcing their surveillance smart meters on us be next? As I understand, most of them will be gone by the end of next year. Time will tell. They're losing money on them. Oops. Thomas, when do we get a say in what's going to happen to us? Have you asked? Think about that. It's not as daft as you think. Everyone has a say. It's whether you use it that matters. There's many, many avenues where you can have your say. You can meditate and have your say. You can do pester politicians. That's having your say. You'll be talking about setting up committees and councils. Maybe that'll be for the future. You can have your say. But just because you're not involved in something, i.e. you're not a host on a radio show, or you're not involved in this group or that group, you're still having your say. You're having your say on the Facebook page. The message goes out. You've just forgotten. So if you want something specific to happen to us, and that's down to you, the individual. You have your choice every single minute of the day to make something happen. Can you elaborate on the real Jesus and where a person can find more information? I already gave that out on the show. I may do another show and go deeper into the Radomir story, depending on time. But it was all laid out in the show where that information came from. Where are we next? 499 years ago, the Draco supposedly managed the trust and made a deal with the Rothschilds to administer the trust's resources for the betterment of humanity. Were these Draco benevolent or stupid? It's not exactly the way it was said, but Draco were never ever benevolent. They were initially, while they duped humanity, but with hidden agendas, and the Rothschilds have never been interested in the betterment of humanity. And despite the person in the email questioning that the Rothschilds are from a later date, the Rothschilds' first interaction was early 1500s, when they received a $20 million loan from the Dragon Groups. Early 1500s. So the Rothschilds go way back before 1700s. They would either deliberately chose the Roman Catholic Church in order to enslave us, or are they appalling judges of character who managed the trust before them? They always had control of it because they've always been in control here. They wanted full control. Who manages the trust now, and how did they acquire it from the Draco? Well, the Draco were told to leave, otherwise face the consequences, and most of them did. And the trust is in the hands of humans who only have the interest of humanity and living souls. period. How can we be expected to trust the trust? It depends on what you're asking to be trusted. Can they be worse than the Draco? Can they be worse than the Rothschilds? It's always possible. But suddenly, if everything funds are released and everything gets back what they're owed, as long as there's no hidden agenda, then trust is down to the individual. It's not up to me to tell you to trust these people. You have to make your own choice. Is management of the trust related to the status of the treaties? Not necessarily, no. Although it made it easier to facilitate the trust once that treaty with the Draco was ended. But the trust has been taken over by humans since 2005. And what's been taking place is they've been ransacking through the offshore trust accounts where these elites have been hiding the funds out of our pension funds and the government funds, etc., 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 collecting them, emptying their accounts and putting it all back in the trust. And this is why the whole world is in a financial crisis, because they've got no access to the trust no more, period. So if you're asking me, do you trust them? Isn't their actions a sign of trust? The American government knows who they are. In fact, all 209 countries know who they are, who's got control of it. They're all waiting to be given funds once the clean-up is complete. Is there a plan to take care of the monarchy and Vatican and use of their power and influence? The monarchy are pretty much dead in the water anyway. They've had all their wealth taken off them to keep others in the game. And the Vatican, whilst is still a player, as their position has been dramatically curtailed. Not permanent, but there has been a dwindling of their power and influence. Where are we next? I don't know enough about dragon spirits to it's a pity we haven't got Tanath. She might be able to tell you more about that. When will the monsters in the swamp be fully exposed on the mainstream media? Dr. Phil show on the 21st has a show with a woman who escaped trafficking by elites. Is this preparation of the masses for a coming announcement of arrest? It's quite possible. I know since they started banning it in certain countries. I think Holland was one. Go figure. Their royalty's not as bad as useful as the British one. It all depends how it breaks, and all depends on who puts the right foot forward and stomps it down and goes, there's the line, you've crossed it, enough's enough. That's all we're waiting for. They've got all the evidence now. All this legal bullshittery that they have to have proof for this and proof for that. They've had it. They've had it donkey's years. It's getting sufficient with the kahunas to stand up and say, enough's enough. Maybe a cutting of their funds might make them rethink and earn some sanity. Do the Nephilim hybrids still rule the earth behind the scenes? Some of them, yes. Do you know who's calling in the Rothschilds marker? Yes, it's the trust account holders. How long do they have, and what happens if they don't? Good question. I wish I had a full answer for that. I think it's high time all the countries got together and removed that family permanently. The deck of cards would collapse. How on earth are chemtrails getting funded? Well, they have an old stockpile. Not all in the sky are chemtrails at this point. Some of them are blocking. Where are we next? Is Pence really a pedophile? It appears to be the case, but I couldn't say 100%. Do human clones have a soul? No, portion of it, but not a full, as I understand it. I could be wrong on that. I don't know sufficient about it. If yes, whose soul is that? Well, it would be the original. There's a portion of the soul in it. It's from the original entity or person. If the soul leaves the body after death, does that mean that cryonics is a fraud? No, the soul doesn't leave the body after death. The soul leaves 12 months later, unless it's cremated. So humans have individual souls. No, we don't have souls. We are the soul. We don't have anything. We are the soul. Acting on the physical plane, and most animals have a group soul. No, it's more the insects operating from the astral plane. Do the animals with individual souls play a special role on this planet? Some do. Some are more native to here than we are. In fact, most are. The whales and the dolphins are special here. If they vanish, then we're in big trouble. They carry the memory. There's a theory that seems to be gathering momentum that space isn't an empty void. It's water. The water falling from the skies could have been the fact that we are floating in a huge vat of water and we sprung a leak. Do you have any thoughts on the validity of this? No, space is not an empty void. It never was. That's science bullshittery. It's got ether. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. So the water falling from the skies, to me, is the firmament described in the Bible. An ocean on the floor and an ocean in the air. It's all to do with what type of technology you would have to do that. And it's just basic gravity. If you can control ether, it creates gravity itself. That's why they can't understand how everything is made or formed in the cosmos, because they won't factor it in. It's ether, the God particle, the fifth element. That would, if harnessed correctly, would hold the firmament in place. Then you switch the machine off and the firmament collapses into the earth. All 400 extra foot of it. Melting ice caps does not equate to 400 feet extra water. In some regions it's even deeper. Are elections rigged? Is it impossible that the VVD won the election in Holland? Yes, they're all rigged. Holland's no different to any other in the EU. They're all rigged. Same as here. In fact, given we've already stated that the CIA has rigged 61 elections since its formation, there's your answer. Are they going to reinstate the Glass-Steagall? I'm unsure at this point on that. Sorry. Is the QE Queen Elizabeth II on her way out? They would like her to be taken out. No doubt many of us would like her also to be taken out. But as it stands, she is helping to stem the tide of the New World Order by not signing off on RVs and TRNs. They need a sovereign. They haven't got one. Charlie Chuck seems to think he can sign off on all kinds, but except he can't, and no one's paying him any notice whatsoever. But they have made attempts on it. Is there more happening with the mainstream media being labelled enemies of the state for their lies and propaganda? I hope so. I know there's a big push behind the scenes. And bear in mind, CNN hasn't been paid by the Rothschilds now for 5 months. Oops. Also, why are monopolies like YouTube and Google getting away with demonetizing many truther channels? Because the same people, same 6 people, own the whole lot. Media, TV, radio, magazines, etc, etc, etc. All has to be broken down. My understanding is the Rothschilds are in all factions. Zionists, Dragon, Asian Elders, Nazi and Jesuits. How can the factions be truly defeating each other, and how can the Rothschilds and their minions be truly and absolutely neutralised from ever doing any more harm? They do have a portion in the others, not so much the Jesuits, although they have infiltrated most. They're siding mainly with the Asian Elders, but they are currently arguing with them as to who's to blame for not being able to carry out the RV. It's cost the Rothschilds a whole heap of money, that failed project, and also the Asian Elders. Yes, they are defeating each other, they're pulling each other apart, but each think that they own the planet, although the Rothschilds are more prominent than the rest of them. The Nazi clowns are obviously not only hoping to control this planet, but also the parallel universe. These people are idiots, beyond all comprehension. How can the Rothschilds and their minions be truly and absolutely neutralised from ever doing any more harm? By the clowns in the military getting a pair of kahunas and going doing the job they're being asked to do. That's how. How do we know it's safe to move to an unknown planet, considering the targeting of specific energetic signatures of souls entering? Well, one hopes by the time we start moving to other planets and inhabiting them, our species will have gone through an extensive learning program, finding out about ourselves first, who and what we are, what we're capable of, how much of our history has been distorted, who has been in control on this planet. Before we go anywhere else, we really need to find out what's been going on here and who and what we are, all of us. It is being said that Obama is helping to run a shadow government against Trump. What are your thoughts on this? Yes, he is. Or he thinks he is anyway. He's supported by Android and Bushes, and this is why we're still waiting for something good, big to happen. These people they just won't give up, and we really need somebody to make sure that they do give up. 10.2. You stated that the Vatican has been involved in protecting hidden entities. You wouldn't reveal the details of the specific entities involved, saying it would be the last show. From my understanding, the cabal top brass know who. I wouldn't be too sure on that. What these entities are, the Foundation people also know. I wouldn't be too sure on that either. I would guess the information is contained in the holographic library. That's not right either. So the only people the information is being withheld from is us. Therefore, if you tell us it's your last show, why aren't we to know? Aren't we supposed to become responsible for ourselves? Yes, you are supposed to be responsible for yourselves. But don't you think I have also a duty to be responsible to myself? I put out more than most on our show. Some of it quite close to the knuckle. If I say I can't put it out, you should respect that. I go out on a limb week by week, some of the stuff I put out, and I don't think you're being fair asking that question. So you have a responsibility to yourself, and so do I. Where are we next? From a highest perspective, why some souls will get tortured, killed in this lifetime, as for example all these children who disappear every year, while other souls will awaken and do their shadow work. I have a hard time making sense of why these children do not get a chance like we have, and just get slaughtered by these psychopaths. Yeah, I fully understand that. It's the depth of it is staggering. There was a new one in the first hour. 18,000 Syrian children have had their organs sold. Just doesn't appear to be an end to what is clearly now becoming a non-human issue. I just struggle to believe there's that many sadistic, evil, psychopathic humans as there's been made out. I could be wrong in that. Could be all human. But I just struggle to believe that people can be that vile. And largely, we are all partly responsible. Many of us have been chasing down this story over a long period of time. There's been lots in the community who won't listen to it. I don't want to hear about the children. They can't handle it. That's a lack of responsibility on those people's parts. You know, we've kind of let things slide on so many levels. But yet again, there is some allowance. There's like what I've just said. I have a hard time believing there's that many vile people. You know, you tell the average person in the street that 500,000 American children are going missing permanently each year, and they're going to laugh because they'll think it's not possible, but it is, and it does. And people just dismiss it. Well, we can't keep dismissing it, otherwise it keeps carrying on happening. We can't keep dismissing clowns in the government, or clowns in the military, or clowns in the justice system, clowns in the hospitals, the doctors, peddling those drugs. Drugs they should know by now don't work. But we're our own worst enemies. Because we all know by now, each and every one of you listening to this show knows that doctors are not trained in cures. They have no idea what's in the poisons they're giving you. They're paid to get rid of certain drugs. Some they'll get more money for. They don't care. We all know that the vaccines are dangerous. But we'll still, the first sign of a pain, go to the doctor. That's like the clowns in Langley, in the Pentagon. Stockholm Syndrome. We have a choice. When you know something's wrong, you have to take steps, personal responsibility, to correct it. Some tasks are harder than others. We all know the school education system is mind control, but we all still send the kids to school. That's our responsibility, nobody else's. You create a sufficient homeschooling and organise the community, we can shut their schools down. If those kids are getting better results, why would you want to send it to a state, your child to a state school to be mind controlled and vaccinated? These are our choices. We don't have to go along with their choices. Is there a normal way a person can recognise a non-terrestrial being such as a reptilian? If we mentally ask it something, can we make it answer? Be careful what you ask for. Some of them are fairly brutal unless you know how to deal with them. Yes, it might be fun calling on ETs until you've been on the end of their violence, or they're raping, or they're interfering vampirically with your soul and being, causing disease. It might be fun wanting to meet ETs, but please think of the consequences. We said in earlier shows, your manifest abilities have gone up, and they have. But you have to be very, very careful what you're asking for. There's enough in the group who have had very poor experiences with ETs. So please think about that. I'd like to be able to know if and when an entity is out there and how to protect myself. If you reach a certain level of your own evolutionary development, you will learn to see. You will detect it. It will create a vibration. Is envisioning a glowing protective light around me enough? No. What barrier have you put around that light? Have you left that light as an open door, or have you locked the door? Again, these are the things you have to think deeper. Does the protective light have fire around it? Or sharp pins? So if an entity comes in your vicinity, it goes on fire or it gets stabbed. It's your choice what you put in your shield around you. But white light won't suffice unless it's sealed. So I hope that helps, and we're at 9 o'clock. We're going to have a small music break, and then we're going to bring Dr Naidu on. What is no doubt going to be a lively hour. Apologies if I didn't get to your questions. I think I did well answering as many as I did, and no doubt there'll be more coming along. Right, music break. What can we have this? Let's have a. This takes me back to my younger days. I hope you enjoy. Hi all, and welcome back to the final portion of tonight's show. I'm pleased that we've got Dr Naidu on the line, and he's going to give us an update on everything to do with monetized COLB, and maybe some updates on what's going on with the tribes, and we'll be covering some of the other issues that have been brought up on the page later on. Hello, Dr Naidu. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you. Very well, thank you.
So I'm glad you're back on again. There's a fair bit going on with monetized COLB, and can you give us an update on that and how that works? And because we do have a lot of new members.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of new members. We have a lot of new interest from the FBI, supposedly. A lot of interest from Interpol, supposedly. A lot of interest from ISIS. A lot of interest from DHS. A lot of interest from DEA. A lot of interest from a lot of people who are unable to prove anything. Everything I've said and done, I followed the law. There's some fellows out there calling me a crook, calling me names. Hey, meet me face to face and challenge me about the knowledge of the law. We have great progress to report there, Thomas.
Good.
I've got close to 200,000-300,000 people waiting to get all their documents in. I ain't going to say where or when, because the FBI, Interpol, CIA, NSA, MAD, DOG, CAT, they're all coming after me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I've never been arrested, never been charged. Oh yeah, but there'll always be a first time. For what? What are you going to charge me on? You know? Oh, you took money from people. Well, let's talk about money. What do you mean by money? Oh, I meant FRNs. Okay, let's talk about FRNs. You mean Federal Reserve notes? Yeah, what else? Okay, let's talk about Federal Reserve notes. What does the Federal Reserve note say on the front or the back, Thomas? What does it say? It says a lot of things, and then there's one key phrase there. It says, legal tender for all debts, private and public, correct?
Yes.
Now at the back, they throw in God. In God we trust. Okay?
Which one?
But I'm not interested in that part. I'm not interested in that part. I'm only interested in that part which says legal tender for all debts, private and public. Now, everybody knows what a debt is, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now I want to buy a loaf of bread. So what do? I go down to the local FBI store or the CIA store or the grocery store and say, or the Secret Service store, and say, here's a couple of dollars, give me a loaf of bread. Now what has happened is, I've got something to eat by offering them an IOU. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so then I buy a house or buy a car, I give them more paper, they give me, more metal, more food. So now, stop for a while and say, when I give that grocer or that car dealer or the realtor some money, how is that debt extinguished? I mean,
you can't extinguish debt with a debt note, can you?
Exactly. Oh, you're a danger. FBI coming after you. Wait a minute. Now, this guy is a scam artist. No, he's a crook. No, he was arrested in Fiji. He doesn't even have a law degree. Answer me that question, Janet Yellen. Answer me that question. How the hell do you extinguish that debt? I'll tell you how they do it. They use a nice, technical, cute, sexy, esoteric word. It's called QE. It doesn't mean Queen Elizabeth. It means quantitative easing. What's the meaning of quantitative easing? You print more money. Yeah, but once you get hyperinflation, stagflation, FBI, CIA, and all these people coming after you, no. That money is sent overseas to buy gold, petrodollars, and all the black market oil and gas. Oh, you said black market. You're involved. Oh, the FBI is coming after you. Oh, these are buzzwords, The moment you mention that, oh, you said ISIS. Oh, you're involved. We're coming after you. Yeah, yeah. The debt is never extinguished, Thomas.
It can't be.
Just keeps on. It just keeps on going and going and going. This is why in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 17, if you believe in the Bible, I don't believe in the written Bible. I believe in the allegorical Bible, where the Word of God is cryptically enciphered and deciphered. The mark of the beast, that's digital currency. They went away from gold to paper money to digital currency. That's a mark of the beast. And guess who is not following the mark of the beast? The very fellows who are labeled anti-God, atheists, agnostics, the Chinese. Unknowingly, the Chinese are obeying Revelation 13, verses 16 to 17. Oh yeah, but church and state are separate. Shut up, moron. Where does it say that in the Constitution? Oh, he called me a moron, He's a judge. He's not supposed to say. I don't think he's a judge. He's a con man. Oh, he got angry. Oh, he's losing it. I'm losing it because there's so much of stupidity around me.
Yeah.
Now then we have another, major, the grandmother of all stupidity, the common law. Do you have a few questions before I go there, Thomas?
I was going to bring up common law because there's, as per usual, there's a lot of discussion on it. And
okay.
Is it better than natural law, or God's law, or which law is the best for humanity?
Let me start by saying this. The first law, the primordial law, this is the law before the universe and all of that came into being. It's called the primordial law. What is the meaning of primordial? Let's get the dictionary definition going. Existing at or from the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, the primordial law is part and parcel and an integral part of divine law, otherwise called God's law. Now, if you look at your civil code, and if you look at your criminal code, they all came from Hammurabi, 2,500 years before Christ. Then they came from the Decalogue, 6,000 years before Christ. Decalogue is the Ten Commandments. And then it came from Justinian's institutions of law. And then, you know, then it got into the Bible, and now it is part of our civil criminal law, sometimes called positive law, the law run by legislatures, formal law. Now, the law made by legislators is called statutory law. So now the statute says you will not walk any closer than 15 feet away from the curb. Now, if you ventured 30 feet beyond the curb, now you broke the law. But what if you went 30 feet beyond the curb to avoid a drunken driver and you got hit by another drunk? So the law may be an ass, it cannot be asinine. So judges came up with an idea. I say, old chap, you know, you're not supposed to carve new fabric from the original cloth. Nevertheless, we can iron out the wrinkles of the cloth. It's what Lord Denning said. They don't alter the law, but they iron out the wrinkles. Now that became known as common law. Common law is basically judge-made law. There was a statute, the judge thought the statute was not really covering the facts. So he has to squeeze the law into the facts. If he can't do that, he has to squeeze the facts into the law. But it don't fit. So what do? You don't do the OJ shuffle. It don't fit. You acquit. You don't do that. So judge-made law has become the imprimatur of the written law, the spoken law, the law of the land. That's bovine excrement. It's judge-made law. Yeah, but it's still a judge-made law. Yeah, but the law was made by elected representatives in a republican democracy.
Which is not.
I didn't say that. That's what we the people wanted. We the people didn't want a monarchy. We didn't want aristocracy. We did not want anything. We didn't want a parliamentary democracy. We wanted representative government. Now, what does that mean? Yeah, 30,000 people get together and say, okay, we want Thomas Williams as our House of Representatives, ma'am. Okay, so now Thomas Williams is in there. But once in a while, an innocent man is sent to Washington, D.C. So now an innocent man gets there and he's forced to make deals because lobbyists run the government and the Congress for Wall Street.
Yes.
Now, let me give you some examples of what common law has done to America. Now, let's start with what's known as the grandmother of all bad Supreme Court decisions. The first one was in 1857, after this decision, it triggered the Civil War. It's called Dred Fort a Dred Scott versus Sanford. Now, why is it called the grandmother of all bad Supreme Court decisions? Because here Chief Justice Tony believed that a black person is a slave and not a citizen. Therefore, he is chattel. He is a property of somebody. Can you believe that? A human being, black in color, is a slave and he is property. He is not a person. And that language, why did Tony say that? Because he read the clause in the Constitution, 3/5 of a person. You see, there were more slaves than white people in the plantations. Did you know that? Yes. So when they elected a representative, they couldn't have all these black fellas counted in the census, you see? So what did they make? Every black guy was 3/5 a person. So you needed 3 or 4 black people to constitute one person. But they were more than the white people, so how do we do that? That's it, they are slaves, they are not people, they are property. Brilliant idea. Thank you. Okay, game over. Tony's decision that a black person was not a person, but he was property, chattel, and therefore not a citizen, was overruled by the 14th Amendment.
So the
13th, the 13th abolished slavery. The 14th gave them equal rights, and the 15th gave them rights as citizens. War. Because of slavery, one of the reasons. And the other reason nobody talks about is because the South was sending cotton directly to England where cloth was being made. And the Yankee traders did not like it. They said, you need me as a middleman. You moron, how dare you send the cotton directly to England? No can do.
All about the money again.
It's all
control.
about money. Yeah. Now that is the grandmother of all bad decisions. Okay?
I suppose
now let's look at that.
The next one
that's a grandmother.
Was 1933, 34.
No.
No.
Let's go. 1867. Let's go to 1875.
Okay.
Now, this is after the black people are already considered citizens, no more slavery, nothing. Here is the grandfather of all bad decisions. That's called United States versus Cruikshank. All you people out there who love common law, please give me here. United States versus Cruikshank, 92 United States 542 of 1875. This is after the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. The KKK massacred 100 black people, right? In what's known as the Colfax Massacre of 1873. 100 black people were murdered, lynched, hanged, quartered, shot, butchered. Guess what the court said? Supreme Court said the United States could not charge the accused with violation of the Ku Klux Klan Act. Would you believe that? Hey, check it out. It's not Naidu spin or Naidu translation. Cruikshank, all right? United States versus Cruikshank. Cruikshank. And the citation is 92 U.S. 542 1875. That was the year. 8 justices voted yes. 1 justice, Nathan Clifford, dissented. Great man. And they are saying the U.S. cannot charge these white fellas for killing these black fellas under the KKK Act. What do you think of that? Huh?
It doesn't surprise.
You want what do you call common law? Here's your common law. Yeah. Now then, let's move to 1883. Now, I'm giving you a timeline. 1868, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. 1875, Cruikshank. Let's go to 1883. Pace, P-A-C-E, versus Alabama. 106 U.S. 583 of 1883. What if in that case, it said a black man cannot marry a white woman because the black man violated an Alabama law that prohibited marriage, adultery, fornication between a Negro and any white person. So the black man and the white woman both went to jail. Surprisingly, one of the justices said, but that Alabama statute does not violate the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause because it treated whites and Negroes equally. Huh?
Yeah.
Wait. If the 14th Amendment says that whites and Negroes are equal, how come they can't marry?
Exactly.
Now, this is a Supreme Court monkey, Mike.
It's rules for one and rules for another, isn't it? It's always been the way.
Oh, yeah. Now, the 1883 case, 75 years later, in 1967, 388 U.S. 1 of 1967, was overruled by a very good case called Loving versus Virginia, where the Supreme Court said laws against interracial marriage are unconstitutional. Do you believe that? It took 70 over years for people to realize that the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments were there for a specific constitutionally just, fair, conscionable reason. It gets worse. Here comes the grandson of all bad decisions. 1896, Plessy versus Ferguson, 163 U.S. 537. Black children go to black school, white children go to white school. Why? They are separate but equal. I love that. We are separate but we are equal. And they all said, yeah, that makes sense, you know. I mean, he's black and I'm white. We are equal. That's what the 14th Amendment says. But we are separate. Stupid! The 14th Amendment doesn't say that, stupid. Or you call me stupid. Yes, stupid. The 14th Amendment, stupid, doesn't say that, stupid. Oh, I'm not going to talk to the judge anymore. You call me stupid. Yeah, but stupid, you don't understand stupid. Separate but equal is not a constitutional command. The 14th Amendment says equal protection of the laws, state and federal, and due process. Now, that was 1896. It took 60 years to overrule that. Brown versus Board of Education, the famous case, the grandfather of all cases. Oh, yeah. Equal. You know, we are equal. We are America. We can invade any country we like. We can imprison anybody we like. We can break any law we like. We can do what we like. You know why? We got a bigger gun. Can't you see how we treated the Native Americans? Can't you see how we treated the African Americans? We are Uncle Sam. Don't you mess with me, boy. Look what I did to Iraq, Iran. Look what I did for Israel. Look what I did in Palestine. Look what I did for Aramco. Look what I did in Guatemala. Look what I did in Nicaragua. Look what I tried to do in Cuba, and that bastard won't die. This is America.
Sadly, yes. Or the American military.
Where a bigger gun is the law of the land. So take your and shove it. You know why? You have no police power, people. My tribe is going to have police power pretty soon. Without the power of arrest, and Tom, you've known me for 2 years now. What have I been saying from day one?
Yeah.
You got to have police power. You think the police to protect and to preserve, they're there to protect and preserve you?
Nope.
No. They're there to protect and preserve you like you're a pickle in a bloody pickle jar.
Protect the elites and the corporations.
Yeah. They only work for Wall Street. Common law. You want some more common law? I'll give you some more common law. So now there's a group out there trying to, we're the common law grand jury. Really? How come you haven't arrested the governor of your state, or the sheriff, or the mayor of your town? Huh? You haven't done that, and you're the grand jury. What are you? A used tennis ball? Yeah. You're throwing a used tennis ball at a speeding Sherman tank with guns blazing, stupid. How are you going to stop them with your common law grand jury? Oh, yeah. We are the force. Really? They're laughing at you. You don't even have a police force. And then you've got someone else saying, I got 65,000 people. The militia is ready. Are you ready to help me? Yeah, where are you? Oh, can you give us some money? Would you believe that, Tommy? Yeah.
Yes, I've heard it with my own ears.
Oh, yeah. So, you know what? I am not relying on nobody. I am relying on all my old friends who have come forward. We are going to be building up that police force. And by the way, Tom Weidler is here, and so is Jaguar Paul. They will send you, Thomas, a copy of the advertisement that I'm putting out there for able-bodied men and women to join. The pay is excellent, guaranteed excellent pay, better than what the government is paying.
Yeah.
Let me say that again. The pay, the salary, the perks, your compensation is better than what the government is paying. Oh, this judge is doing something illegal. Oh, the FBI is going to come after him. Well, keep coming after me, morons. I'm just trying to assert the rights of Native Americans. Come, keep coming. I'm waiting. Come for me. Come for me. Come on. Common law. These are the people who are fooling the people with rubbish law. Now you got another case, 1903. You want common law? Let me give you common law. Lone Wolf versus Hitchcock. Oh, this is my favorite. My favorite. You know why? It involves indigenous people of America. In this case, which was a unanimous vote, by the way, the supreme dogs, you know, the supreme rabbit dogs, said that, all all the agreements, covenants and treaties made with them is because they are in a relationship of dependency. Now, if stupid had sat down for 5 minutes and looked at the Constitution, which, by the way, is the supreme flaw of the land. Sorry, I have a lisp today.
Yeah.
The supreme law of the land. Nowhere does it say there is a relationship of dependency between the United States and the United Sovereigns of America, USA. USA actually means United Sovereigns of America, meaning Native Americans. We have 568 tribes. The relationship of dependency was started by a real con man, a real land speculator, who only had 6 weeks of legal training, and he became the 4th Chief Justice of America. He only had 6 weeks of legal training under George Wyeth, W-Y-E-T-H. Learn your history. This guy, with 6 weeks of legal training under George Wyeth, became the 4th Chief Justice of America in 1803. His name is John Marshall. John Marshall, in 1831 and 1832, handled 2 cases called Cherokee Nation versus Georgia and Worcester versus Georgia. Here, his rightness, his holiness, came up with the theory, but that, oh, Native Americans are sovereign people. They were here before we were here. Oh, they were the original landowners. They own the land. They own the soil. They have right of ownership. But, here comes the but. You turn around, you see the word but. But, they are domestic dependent wards. Common law. This moron, this idiot, this leprous rabid dog created that word, that phrase, domestic dependent ward, in 1831, 1832. Lone Wolf lost in 1903. He lost his land. He lost everything because 9 rabid dogs said, all those treaties were made because of a dependency. Now we need to put in our white settlers there. Because they've run away from England and Europe, we need to push westwards. And these savages, you know, look what they did to my brother-in-law's family. Yeah, I heard. They burned them alive. Yeah, they burnt you alive, stupid, because you went and opened up a farm in their land. You went to steal their land, stupid. That's why you got killed, stupid. Would you like me to come and steal your house, stupid? Can I now come and steal your house? You can steal my land, I can't steal your house. Under the Latin term, jactus lapilli, I can throw 1 stone or 1 brick or 1 plank out of your home because you have violated jus carpion. Come on, you bloody stupid FBI, CIA, Interpol, challenge me. Jactus lapilli, bring it on. You take my land, I can take away your house. Jactus lapilli. I didn't make that up. It's in the law books. Stupid. You wrote that law book, stupid. You imported that law book, stupid, into my country. You called it Blackstone's commentaries. Read what's there, stupid. You stole my land. And you're going to come after me? Come on, I'm waiting. Come on, I'm waiting. Oh, then, okay, let's move from 19 1903. By the way, in 1977, Lone Wolf versus Hitchcock was overruled by the Delaware tribal business community versus Weeks. So, it took 70 years for God to reappear on the scene. Now then, let's go back to 1927, 1903, 1927. There was a fellow running around, a lance corporal. He was a born organizer. He was only a lance corporal. Maybe went to the position of corporal in Germany, Bavaria, Austria. This corporal was a born organizer. He organized what's known as the Nazi Party. And he crowned himself the Führer. And later on he carried out some experiments. And everybody condemned him. Okay. But has everybody who condemned him read this corporal's book called Mein Kampf, which is a German word for my struggle? Now, in that book, Mein Kampf, and I've got a copy of it right here, it says that Untermenschen, that means a lower human being, must be punished, his land and property taken, like what America did to the Native Americans. So what did he do? He went after every citizen of Judengasse. What is Judengasse? German word for Jew Street. That's where all the Jews lived. He considered the Jews Untermenschen. And you know where he got the idea of eugenics? 1927, Buck versus Bell. United States Supreme Court, Buck versus Bell. 274 U.S. 200, 1927. Read it. Where Justice Holmes said, 3 generations of imbeciles is enough. There was one woman who was a victim of rape. She was an imbecile. Her mother was an imbecile. And her grandmother was also an imbecile, which is why she got raped. And now there were 3 generations of imbeciles is enough. So Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. said, we should sterilize such people. Where do you think Hitler got his idea from? Yeah. Common law. So you want to sing praises for common law? Forcible sterilization? Buck versus Bell. B-U-C-K-B-E-L-L. 274 U.S. 200, 1927. Yeah, but Hitler was a beast. Oh, yeah, he was a beast, all right, yeah. But who allowed him to become a good beast?
Bush yourself.
Buck versus, you know.
Yeah.
So now in 1922, there was another case, Ozawa versus United States. This poor fella applied to be a citizen. The Supreme Court said, a Japanese person is not a white person and therefore cannot become a naturalized citizen. Tom, if you're there, Tom Widener, you remember what happened in 1924? 1922, they said Ozawa cannot be a naturalized citizen because he's Japanese. In 1924, they made all of us Native Americans naturalized American citizens. And we're not even white. We're not even white. Want common law? You morons out there, common law? You want common law? Come, I'll give you common law. Come on. So while all this was going on in 1924, oh, thank you very much, I am from India, but you know, I've come to live in America, because in America, there is a lot of opportunity. So there was an Indian guy from India called Thind, T-H-I-N-D, United States versus Thind, 261 U.S. 204, 1923. And he was a very fair-skinned Indian, like me, you know. And so he applied, saying, I'm a high caste Hindu, you know, I come from the Brahmin caste. And they turned around and said, go to hell, you bloody idiot from India. You're not white. You cannot be naturalized. That's what we told the Japanese guy. Piss off, would you? And now we got a governor of North Carolina. What's her name? I can't remember her name. She's always talking rubbish anyway. Nina or Nita or somebody. Then we have Kamala Harris, Attorney General of California. She's Indian. We have Bobby Jindal. He's Indian, from India. Oh yeah, thank you very much. And then we have, Preet Bharara, the U.S. Attorney of Manhattan. Oh, number one, who Trump just fired him. This is America. You want common law. This is common law, folks. And with this common law, judge-made law, you're trying to tell people that you have a grand jury that can wipe out the law of the land, you know?
So, is the way forward natural law, or doesn't that apply either?
Let me use the word
the actual
stupid.
way forward?
Let me use the word stupid again here. If the stupid churches decide to obey God, let me repeat that. If the stupid churches in America obey God and the Bible based on Public Law 97-280, otherwise known as 96 Statute at Large 1211. If these stupid churches obey the Word of God, Public Law 97-280 said the Word of God, the Bible is the Word of God. So a federal law is telling you to obey the Bible. Now, the Bible in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verses 1 to 8, it says, how dare you as a believer go to a court of law functioned by non-believers? I'm paraphrasing. If these churches obey federal law, obey the Word of God, and form their own court system with their own police force, yes, natural law can be the law of right-thinking America. Well, in a lot of states, Americans have given way to Sharia law. Sharia law is Muslim ecclesiastical law. What's so bad about ecclesiastical law that comes from the Bible? The Bible has everything to say about civil and criminal law. In answer to that question, yes, Thomas, very possible. If these stupid churches and these stupid pastors will obey the Word of God. The problem is they only obey Malachi chapter 3, verse 6 to 7, which says, give me your tithes and offerings. You see, God is so broke that He needs your money. God is so broke, mind you. God is so broke that He wants your tithes and offering. I mean, we are worshipping a broke God. He doesn't know how to hold money. He doesn't know how to make money. A pastor will come and say, oh, God asked me to starve, to go on a fast for 45 days till I raise $300,000 to build a toilet for the kids. Oh, everybody shoot him a Shanda, buy a Honda, don't buy a Mitsubishi. They'll all be talking in tongues, doing the devilish, stupid things. Yeah. Because God is broke, you see. In America, in the American church today, God is broke. That's why he wants your money.
Yeah.
So now you disobey God, you disobey a federal law that wants you to obey the word of God. Where can you go? If you had your own ecclesiastical courts, if you had your own police force, if you had your own armed forces, armed police, enforcers, peace officers, disharmony officers, discord officers, whatever you want to call them, then natural law will have hope. Not common law, not statutory law. I mean, look at the Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act. Oh, that's a very powerful law. Yeah. Is that the one that's called the Dodd-Frank law? Yeah. Are you trying to control Wall Street? Hello?
Yeah.
I sued a homeowner. A homeowner came to me. I sued in federal court. You know what the federal judge asked me?
What?
They said, oh, the Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act is a good law, but does it give a private cause of action? In other words, only a bank can sue.
Yes.
Only the government can sue. A private person can't sue. So I turned around. I couldn't believe this woman. I just couldn't believe it. I turned around and said, well, it says Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act. This law is designed to protect the consumer so that they can reform Wall Street. And of course, you know, she is a sitting judge. I'm just a standing judge, standing there. She said, well, I don't know if, Judge Naidu, I don't know if there is a nexus. It's in one bloody law.
Yeah.
Wall Street Reform and it's in one statement. And this woman is telling me she couldn't find a nexus, a connection between the two. And she says, can you go back and brief this? You know why? I caught her flat-footed. She couldn't think. I told her there's nothing to brief. The law is very simple. It says in section 1639, and she was turning the pages. I told her it's 1639F. F as in foxtrot, you know. Yeah. It says you must have full disclosure. So, I mean, and how do you control Wall Street? You got to have your own police force.
Yes.
You see, without a police force, you got nothing. Forget your law, forget your knowledge, forget your God even. Bible says, the sons of Issachar knew the times and knew how to handle the times. You know, in America, we have a thing called a narrative talking points. You cannot have a narrative without a talking point. You understand?
Yes.
You first got to talk about it. Then it becomes a narrative. And now it becomes, oh, yeah. Now it goes to Congress, and then it may become a law. So the talking point today in America should be, why is it the small guy, the church, the Native Americans, why is it we don't have a police force? There was a police force one time, you know, called the Black Panthers, but they were infiltrated. They were called terrorists. They were called all kinds of things. The Black Panthers were not terrorists. They were protecting themselves under the Second Amendment. It's called the Castle Doctrine. Yes. What does it say, the Second Amendment? A well-regulated militia, for the protection and safety, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. 27 words, 3 commas, 1 period. Yeah. All they were doing, the Black Panthers, was they were protecting their rights as black people. Because this was after the Civil Law Act of 1965. They gave enough trouble to Lyndon Johnson. He didn't stand for re-election, and that brought Slick Willie in. Tricky Dicky in. Yeah. And what happened? Then they got rid of RFK and they got rid of MLK. Finish. End of story. a bigger gun, a better gun. That's what America is all about.
Yes, we've
Not
basically
law.
been hijacked
Yeah.
by government services that people
and
think
Tommy,
is providing for us, but they're not.
I'm sorry, Tommy. I'm very, very angry with what's happening.
Yes.
And the people are doing nothing. Oh, let's go and listen to what this maniac has to say today. Yeah, I heard Naidu is on. He's going to rant and rave. Well, it has become entertainment. Oh, today is Friday, Thursday. Oh, we have to do the Cosmic Voice show. Oh, Kolb, C-O-L-B is on Tuesday. Oh, Wednesday is my daughter's ballet. Oh, Tuesday is my son's karate. Oh, yeah. Oh, Sunday is church. Yes. I forgot to give my tithes last week. Well, God is broke. Okay. I'll give him half. It's okay. You see, this is what is happening in America. Yeah. People don't want to wake up.
We do have a problem here, more than most, but then also
so, I know
they've been mind-controlled more than any other country. It's a big problem.
See?
But is it not the case the ultimate law is the golden rule? But of course that brings in personal responsibility, which is something sadly we're lacking as a group.
No, there is no responsibility. I've always said this when I used to teach in church. If you have no sense of responsibility, no sense of accountability, no sense of ability, you are nothing but an utter disability. And this is the problem, you see. Everybody says, I hate government. But you know how many people went out and voted this year?
It did go down a lot.
Yeah, people don't realize that if you look at the preamble to the Constitution, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union. Why was that word more put into before the word perfect? Perfect is a perfect word. A more perfect. Why? Because they knew government cannot be the answer. They put the word more because of what Jefferson said. If the government cannot do what it is supposed to do, the people have a right to alter or abolish the government.
Yes.
It gave the power to the people. But the people are doing nothing. Oh, I will not fight the government because how am I going to get my welfare check? Okay, that's a valid reason. That's valid reason.
It's short-term thinking, though, is it? Not long-term.
Yeah, that's a stinking thinking.
Well, given what I mentioned, I don't know whether you were listening earlier, we have a big problem here now because the banks here are completely broke. The government is completely broke. And come April the 1st, they're not going to be able to make payroll, as I understand it. So the shortage of money may just wake up the clowns who are causing the issues. There's plenty of funds, it's just they're all there waiting to be delivered. But it's getting people to get off the backsides, including the military, to remove these rogue elements and drive us forward.
You see, there is another danger in America that people are not aware of. That's the Chicago School of Economics, started by a super moron called Milton Friedman. They interfered in China, in Russia, in Poland, in Chile, in Brazil, in Guatemala, in Argentina. They control the IMF, they control the World Bank. It's about time we had an ergotocracy. I have said that 1,000 times. What is an ergotocracy? a government controlled by workers. You see, people don't realize, Tommy, in any country, there are 4 elements to the economy, 4 factors, 4 pillars, and that's land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. You remove one of these pillars, everything collapses. I'm talking labor here.
Yeah.
If everybody in America refuses to buy gas for 10 days, I'll bring the price of gas down to 10 cents a gallon.
Yeah. Because they have to keep their Ponzi scheme going.
You see, it's called the boycott. You see? But nobody will do it. Oh, yeah, it's easy for the judge to talk. He's sitting in Hong Kong. Ah! No, it's got nothing to do with me sitting in Hong Kong and going to Thailand for a dump. It's got everything to do with what you can do.
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything. I was all alone.
It's all about the collective.
When I turn around, all I see is my shadow. There's no one else behind me. You're on your own. I don't know, you are quoting some law. So the problem, Thomas, it's not the government. It's not the banks. It's the people. They refuse to do anything. Look what happened in 1789. You know?
Right, we've come to, that hour went very, very quickly. We've come to the end of the show. Is there any recourse or any materials that are available for the likes of the Robert Careys, the James R. Webber and the Decker Ape, who are now, accusing you of being a crook?
Yeah. All these people who have taken it upon themselves to call me a crook, whatever, here's what I want you to do, okay? Go to scripturallaw.org. That's my website. www.scripturallaw.org, scripturallaw.org. And I'm assuming you can read, okay? So please forgive me if I'm presumptuous. I have this habit. I always presume that you can read and you're smart. Now, being further presumptuous, when you, and I'm hoping and I'm also presuming you're computer savvy, click on credentials, credentials, okay, credentials. And you'll see a bunch of documents there. These are documents issued by people who appointed me their judge or their ambassador, okay? All you need to do is to hit the view button, I think, and it says zoom in, zoom out. You'll find a name of somebody who appointed me with an email address and a telephone number. Call them and ask them if they did appoint me. Okay?
Yes.
Then, if you want to know what happened in Fiji, go to Fiji Fracas and look at the court order that the Fiji court issued under bail conditions. Look at number 7. It says he is to refrain from political participation. Doesn't say he, and when you're satisfied, right?
Yes.
That I'm not a crook, then you can start another smear campaign. How's that? You see, you were born stupid. Your middle name is stupid. All right? It is your right to be stupid, and I challenge you. I challenge you to take me on. In a public debate, take me on. I've called you stupid 3 times. I'll call you stupid again for the 4th time. All right? So before you start a smear campaign with your pseudonyms and your nom de plumes or your nom de guerre, oh, by the way, again, I'm presumptuous. I'm thinking you're educated enough to understand French and Latin. If you don't, epigrammata mater, pedicabo iam, stultissimo, too bad, okay? With that, I yield the floor.
Right. Thank you very much for coming on and educating us
Tommy,
again.
Thank you. Tommy, I apologize if I am angry. I'm still angry. And as far as those apes and gapes and whatever, you know, who doubt me, challenge me, man. Challenge my knowledge. Face-to-face public debate. No teleprompter. No secret devices. Nothing. Face-to-face. Take me on. And by the way, put $1 million on the side, because that's the bet if you lose the debate. $1 million, which my people will count. Thank you, Thomas.
Well, thank you for coming on and educating us all. You know, it's always a pleasure to have you on, and hopefully you'll come back again soon. And the idiots who doubt or question have done their due diligence. Right, we're at the end of the show. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll be back again on, not on this show, but on Open Your Mind Radio this coming Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. UK, and 8 p.m. in Holland on the OYM Radio, Open Your Mind Radio. So you can join me on that. Until then, we'll be back next Thursday and also the following Sunday with the Illuminati special show. Given it's Derby week on Saturday, which is back home in England, I'm going to play an Everton tune. Right, where are we? If you lead life in love and care, you will prevail. If you lead life in fear and anger, you will fail. Feel free for you to be the person you wish to be, not the person who conforms to what others want them to be. You are a multi-dimensional being operating simultaneously on many levels. You are not here to conform. You are not here to be stifled. You are not here to be enslaved. And you are not here to be abused or to compete with your friends, family or neighbours. You are here to be the best you can be and do so as the crown of creation. Now go out with the confidence of who and what you are and excel in yourself, and in doing so inspire others. This has been the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. My name's Thomas Williams. Bye for now.